Hello, Create Schools. Today we're going to start a brand new chapter, How Secure Was the USSR Control Over Eastern Europe? So this is going to be an introduction just to get it all set up, and then we will take a look at actually how secure was that control in the following videos. So go ahead and take out a piece of paper and a pen and write this title down. When we're ready, come with me to the next slide. Okay, so here's a little bit of background information, and you should know this already from Chapter 4. After World War II, the Soviets helped all the Eastern European countries become communist. Like I say, go back to Chapter 4 and review all of those because it's very important to know how that happened. And then the Soviet Union, their troops stayed to help out to make sure everything was fine. And Stalin set up some governmental aids and called Comecon, and we'll discuss what Comecon is later. And they government took over all the industries and farms to make it a good communist country. So here's your picture of Stalin, and here is one of my favorite cartoons from this era, and this is Stalin sitting there with Molotov right here, and Stalin says, "Who's next to be liberated from freedom?" And so Molotov is spinning the button, and or spinning the globe, and he'll pick one and say, and then click right here, they turn him communist. So here's a picture of Marshall from Marshall Aid right here, also from Chapter 4. So Molotov, if I haven't told you who Molotov is, he is Stalin's foreign minister. And a lot of you, especially the boys, were thinking, oh, Molotov cocktail. And if you don't know what that is, I'll give you a real quick explanation. It is basically very highly flammable alcohol put into a bottle with a cloth sticking out of it as a wick. They light the wick and then they throw it, and basically they create their own bomb. So that it would be your Molotov cocktail to help you remember Stalin's foreign minister's name. It's one of those names, if you don't remember, you'll be okay, but if you do remember, it always adds little information and points to your test. Okay, pause here if you need to take these notes, and I'll move on to the next one. Okay, so now I want to tell you a little bit about Common Form and Comecon to make sure you have it really clear in your head. So Common Form is the Communist Information Bureau. So right here, Communist Information Bureau. So Com for communist, Inform for information. And it was established in 1947 basically to have each of the communist countries are representative there, and they could work together and cooperate and become the best little communist countries they could be. But this is also a way for Stalin to check to make sure all the communist countries were being well behaved, and they could inform on each other as well as get information. Okay, you do not need to copy this down. This is from your book. This is the information that you must write down. Okay, so move on to the next one, which is Comecon. And so I remember this as Communist Economy. So Council for Mutual Economic Assistance. This is quasi your Marshall Aid for the Soviet countries, established in 1947. And if you were in Comecon, you could not trade with the West. And of course, everything favored the USSR. Everything in communism favored the USSR. That's one of the problems they had. So the Soviet Union, which is also the USSR, they got cheap raw material from the from the Eastern European countries, and they also set up a bank to help give loans. So this is Comecon, and so it's Communist Economics. The full name, Council for Mutual Economic Assistance. So, Council, Mutual Economics, and then assistance is not in there. Okay, pause here to take these notes. Again, it's the same thing. You do not need to copy this because this is basically the summary. Okay, so when all of these countries became communist, there were a lot of losses. There was loss of freedom, loss of wealth, loss of consumer goods. So loss of freedom. There were lots of censorships and speech. In a newspaper, you did not have freedom to say what you wanted. You did not have freedom to print what you wanted. You did not have freedom to read what you wanted. Also, a lot of wages fell. They were lower than the Soviet Union's wages because everything from Eastern Europe was going to help provide for a better Soviet Union, a better USSR. And so a lot of people lost their wages. And the worst thing is the consumer goods shortage. Again, that's because all of these things were being sent to the USSR, mainly weapons. So a lot of Eastern European countries and the Eastern European satellite states. So they were, all those weapons and things were being sent to the Soviet Union. So they didn't have factories in order to make things they needed, like clothes or shoes, televisions, radios. So everything was very limited there. Okay, so pause here, take these notes. Okay, then comes Khrushchev. Stalin died in 1953 and Khrushchev took over in 55. And here's a picture of Khrushchev. And he changed a lot of things. There he was kind of feuding with China and Yugoslavia, or Stalin was, and so he ended that. Remember, Yugoslavia with Tito went and kind of did his own thing, and Stalin had a huge feud with him. Khrushchev decided it was better to mend those fences. He started talking with the West, America, and about peace. He planned to reduce arms, and he attended a summit, a post-war summit with the big three countries, your normal Britain, France, and America, and he decided he wanted to improve standard of living. So everything was starting to look really good in 1955 when Khrushchev took over. So go ahead and pause here and take these notes. Okay, one of the most important things that Khrushchev did is something called Destalinization. Right here we've got him. This is Khrushchev, and this is basically representing Stalin and all of the Cold War ways. This hat right here reads Cold War, and he is drilling into them, showing how he is breaking up the Cold War and trying to make everything a lot stronger and better for the Soviet Union and Eastern European. So Khrushchev, he said, Stalin just didn't do everything right. He changed some of the policies, such as common form. He said, okay, it's not good to be informing on each other, and we'll let you people be how you need to be. There was thousands of political prisoners, and he released them. There were troops, Soviet troops in Austria, and he removed them. And like I say, he strengthened the ties with Tito from Yugoslavia and invited him to Moscow. And he got rid of Molotov. We just saw the picture of Molotov in our Molotov cocktail, who was Stalin's foreign minister. And so the Eastern Europe started thinking, hey, I think we're going to be able to get a lot more independence, a lot more rights. So this is very, very important to really understand as we move on to the next section. Okay, so pause here and take these notes. Okay, and finally, so since they got rid of common form, they needed to create something to keep them together, and they created the Warsaw Pact. And Warsaw is the capital of Poland, Warsaw. Okay, and so it was the Warsaw Pact made in 1955. So basically it's the same of NATO. And the official name is the Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation, and Mutual Assistance. You just basically need to have it memorized, the Warsaw Pact. Okay, I hope that that was all clear for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.